All right, welcome back to Talking Transitions. Today's guest is mindset and performance coach Tom Owens. So Tom, you was one of the best players I played with up until like youth team level, and I just want to know how you didn't make it as a professional footballer.
That's a big compliment, like, so I appreciate that. What happened at youth level? You started playing players who were better than me, did you?
Just a little bit better than
at the youth level.
But now we played together at Nosy Schoolboys, didn't we? And for Nosy Schoolboys, it had never been done before, and we won the treble against Liverpool Schoolboys.
Get that in early, innit?
I need to get that in because
you got the treble.
Because we won the treble, yeah.
Don't start questioning it.
So that wasn't against me. So
it's in the papers, mate. It's in the papers.
We've got the enemy here as well.
Right.
Me and Andre sent him against that.
Yeah.
That would have been against me, but I don't remember that, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah,
it was definitely. I remember it. Yeah. And we had to get some videos of that, yeah.
Yeah.
Me v Andre sent him it.
Now we definitely won the treble, but like going back to it, like I've never enjoyed playing with a player as much as playing with you. Obviously, I was playing up front back then. You was playing centre mid, and I just always found that if I ran in behind, you'd always find me and just linking up, and I just loved the way you played and all that. So I just don't know how you didn't make it as a professional footballer.
Yeah, I do remember you telling me that. I don't remember when you told me that. I think that was when I was coaching you for the first time, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But I've always remembered you saying that to me because in my mind, you know, since I've transitioned from not playing, at like 24, 25, like stopped sort of chasing that, and I've sort of mentally decided at that point for, you know, lots of different reasons, which I'm sure we'll talk about today, but you know, I sort of parked up football at 24, 25 mentally and then focused on coaching. And I think because I took to coaching quite fast and quite well, and I enjoyed it. And, you know, when you enjoy something and you feel like you're providing value, and then people at, you know, the outside world are telling you that you're good at it, you then start getting more excited about that thing. And that happened for me in coaching, which sort of, probably two things really. It's probably, don't know if it's good or bad, but at the time it helped me park up playing footy. Because now I sort of recycled all my energy from passion for football into coaching. But in the same breath, maybe it wasn't very good for me because maybe if I would have kept being more persistent. I mean, I was 24 then and been through what I'd been through in America and trialing to go pro and all that. But like, to answer your question, I actually don't know why. You know, I don't know why, but my first thought is athleticism is the first place I go to. But I don't know whether all these things are just excuses, do you know what I mean? Like, I now think, like, you know, was it just not good enough, you know? Was it just, like, no? Because I believe, like, because even if I had the ability to make it, the fact that I never means that I didn't have something.
Yeah.
Whether that be persistence or whether that be the right mindset or the right application. Like, I didn't make it. That's just the fucking fact. So that's a non-negotiable, do you know what I mean? So I've got to look at that and just be like, maybe I just didn't have all of the ingredients, you know? Maybe I had it on the pitch, which I'm sure what you're referring to there is just how you felt on the pitch with me. But maybe off the pitch, like, I didn't have it, or maybe if a couple of setbacks or a couple of rejections, I didn't have that persistence to continue going, maybe.
So your first rejection then, you was a Preston Academy, got a youth team, and then you didn't get offered a pro contract. So that would have been your first rejection. What happened from that? Like, did you go anywhere on trial? How did you deal with the rejection?
I think for me, I had a bit of an... I always use my older brother, Lee, who's 4 or 5 years older than me. And in life, in loads of different, like, weird scenarios, he does a lot of things before me just because he's older than me. So I've almost got that privilege of, like, looking at him and how he deals with certain experience. Because he played footy and was at Wigan, he went through the same thing I went through. So I think I've always had a bit of an advantage of watching him. You sort of subconsciously, not really consciously, like, I'm not making notes or anything, but, you know, just when you're around someone, you're just picking up what they're doing, what they're not doing. I remember he got released from Wigan, and I remember he was in a bad place, and I was only, so I would have been probably just starting my journey at Preston, which is around the time me and you, funny enough, got connected around that time. But so I would have been about 13 then. But I was watching him go through that rejection, and I remember because I was living with him in my mum's house. I just remember him being in a bad spot, wouldn't leave the house.
No.
Don't know why. I remember it being the summer. You get told in like May, don't you? I remember it being in the summertime. I remember it being hot. I remember looking out the window at like being 13 years of age, and I haven't got that many memories of being younger. Really, don't know why. But I remember looking out the window, the front porch, and I remember him laying on the front, like the little small bit of grass in my mum's house. And I don't remember what I was thinking, but I just remember looking at me older brother just like deflated, you know what I mean? And he just had nothing. He just, all of his motivation was just got zapped out of him. I remember just looking, and I think that looking back now, I think I knew that was definitely not the most productive way to go about it. It didn't feel right. And I remember getting released, and I remember ringing him, and I remember him saying to me, "What's next?" So after getting released, so I think to answer the question, like I think I dealt with it better than he did, 100%. Because for 6 months he didn't leave the house. That's what I remember. But 3 weeks later, I was on a plane to Ohio after getting released. So because of him, I remember speaking to him, and I was crying and that when I come out at Deepdale when I got told. But I remember him just saying, "What's next?" And I think just that question alone just fucking shifted everything for me.
Why did you opt to go to America so soon when Preston were in the Championship at the time, weren't they?
Yeah.
So there was potentially still a path for you in football in England. Obviously, you would have to trial and stuff like that. Did you have an agent at the time, or
No?
So I guess you would have to trial yourself and try and find your pathway that way. But why did you opt to go to America so soon after?
I remember I decided to, some people got released and decided just to go. I decided to stay and play. And I remember John Rooney was on trial trying to get a pro. And I remember that was the exact same, like around the same weeks that I got told I was getting released. But I remember playing with him at Deepdale a couple of times. And even what you just said, I remember playing with him. And again, I don't know whether he was just saying it to me because I was with him and I was another scouser in the changing room. But I remember him saying to me, like, because we played a couple of friendlies at Deepdale and it was really for him. I remember he scored 2 or 3 goals. I set him up a couple of times. And I remember him saying how much he enjoyed playing with me, and he couldn't fathom the fact that I'd been released. He was like, how the fuck have you been released here? And again, that's another, you know, when you hear it from like you, when you said it to me, and you know, your opinion I value. I didn't know him personally at the time, but obviously with him being who he was, and he's a good top footy player as well, he said it. And when someone says it, you're just like...
Makes you feel good.
Makes you feel good, but also like in the same time, I also got released. So I'm like... so I remember like there was conversations of like Wrexham being interested, whether I was going to go there. Chester. I went to, I was speaking to the manager at Stalybridge for a little bit. And I went to have a conversation with him. And then I don't know, before we got told we were getting released, the assistant coach from Notre Dame College, which is where I went in Ohio, he come to the youth team at Preston and he watched us train. And then he spoke to us after it about opportunities in America if you get released in that. And at the time, you know, you're not thinking you're going to get released, especially me. I was training with the first team. When Alan Irvine was the manager, I was with the first team most days at that point with a couple of lads who were sort of like on the cards to get pros, and I was within that group. And I was doing well and I was feeling good, but then Alan Irvine got fired. And again, I don't want to make excuses that was the reason, but I fucking didn't help. Yeah. Like, I remember him pulling me after first team sessions and that, and being like, and when the gaffer says something, it just means a lot, doesn't it? I remember him pulling me close to decision time, and it was around the FA Youth Cup, and we had Man City first round. I played 90 minutes. We won 2-1 at Deepdale, beat them. I remember we got drawn against Sunderland away at the Stadium of Light, played the whole game. We won on pens. I scored the first pen. And then we got Everton at Deepdale, and we got battered 3-0. But I remember in that journey when I was playing and feeling good, that's close to, in the FA Youth Cup run, that's close to decision time. I remember Alan Irvine after the session pulling me and just said to me, "You're doing great, keep going." And I felt fucking £1 million. You know, when the gaffer says something like that, even now I got goosebumps then when I remember the moments he said to me, "Keep going, you're doing great." And I remember ringing Ali after it, like, gaffer's just pulled me there. Like a few months away from getting decision. I just felt good. And then a couple of weeks later, he got released. And that's football, innit? Yeah. He got released. Darren Ferguson come in, Sir Alex Ferguson's son. And then I just never really... And in fairness to Darren Ferguson, his priority weren't really the youth lads, and his priority was, I need a job. This first team need to win. So I personally felt like I got neglected slightly, or maybe he just didn't rate me, one or the other, you know. But either way, I got neglected there, and then And then, so then, yeah, when I got released, that opportunity to go to Notre Dame College was there. Ryan McGreevy was our centre forward. I don't know whether you remember him. A Manchester lad. I was speaking to him at the time he got released, and we both decided to go. And then, because he was going, we were going to be on the same flight, bit of a journey together.
Did they make the transition a little bit easier for you, knowing that this player I played with was going to the same place?
Definitely, yeah, because we were talking. So when he was talking about scholarships and all that, I was talking to Ryan. And yeah, he was like, yeah, should we do it? And then I was like, and then I committed first, he committed second, and then we were on the same flight. And then next thing, 3 weeks later, I'm in fucking Cleveland, Ohio. Just mad.
It's a bit of a thing now, isn't it? Like when you get released from like the youth team, there's a lot of lads that go over to America and like they do college in it. I obviously don't know too much about it and all that, but would you recommend it to lads that do get released out of youth team?
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
1,000,000%, yeah. But I honestly think the best thing
that happened was getting released.
Yeah. Whether the best thing getting released happened, but to go into America,
yeah,
defo. But obviously, if I didn't get released, I defo wouldn't have been in America, yeah. But that changed me, that like as a person. Yeah. I came back a different person from America.
Yeah, was it the independence that you had over there? Obviously, you've been living with your mum up until that point.
Well, I was only living with my mum since 16 when because I went digs at Preston.
Oh, digs, yeah.
So when I got a scholarship at Preston, I moved to Preston from 16 to 18, which probably helped though in that like in like my mum had been used to me not being there through the week. I'd got used to being slightly independent. I mean, most things got done for us in digs, like anyway. But that was probably like a bit of a prerequisite to then go, because obviously America's a bigger jump than just being an hour and 15 minutes away. But that experience for me was just like phenomenal.
Talk us through what happens when you go there. So from my idea behind it is you go there, you're in college, so you're doing a scholarship again, but still playing football as well.
Yeah.
So how does it work?
So it's just you play footy every single day.
Yeah.
And it's probably slightly subjective depending on the program that you go to.
Yeah.
How like some programs, might not be that serious, but at the time, like there's way more information out there now about America. Like at the time I was going, which is 2010, I knew nothing. And it just happened to sort of like things just fell nicely for me. Whereas nowadays, like I speak to some people who are making the transition and going over there. Before they go, they know like local retail parks. What divisions? I didn't know divisions and all that. I didn't know there was a Division 1, a Division 2.
I remember you speaking about that years ago. The divisions, me and you spoke about it, and the scouts go to certain divisions.
Is this after I'd been, or
after you'd been? Yeah, I think it was after you'd been. Scouts go to certain divisions, don't they? And there was like kind of
it's all,
as you say, you didn't know too much about that before going.
No idea, no. I had no clue. I was going there. I don't even know. Maybe I got released and I was just like, fuck it.
Not an for minimum fucking going to America.
Yeah, going.
But when you are going in, here's another one for you. When you are going, is your dream still, I'm going there to carry on playing professional football? Do you want to try and get in the MLS site? Is that what the dream is when people go over there?
But I say But if I tell you what I did in that 7 years, my actions weren't in alignment with that.
Was you on the booze, was you, Tom?
I was on the booze,
Oh, good.
I was on the booze.
Uni in England, uni in America,
so
nothing changes.
You went there for the piss up, basically.
Yeah, and when I got there, I had the best time of my life there, right? And probably, I had the best time of my life there. But when I got there, right, there was about 11 English lads. So I honestly reckon now, because I've got experience of speaking to people who've been there, like some people hate it. Like it all does. Like I've learned now more that it really depends on where you go. It could be an awful experience. It could be the best experience ever. And without me doing any due diligence, because I didn't really have like the internet weren't really filled with lots of information. I just happened to just land on a gold mine where I got there. It felt like I was in England because there was 11 English lads there. So the banter's the same, the sense of humour's the same, the mindset and the headspace towards training was the same, which was important for me. It felt like I was like just like that same intense. Obviously the standard weren't as high because it's all lads who've been released, but it weren't also miles off either. So I just happened to really, I was really lucky to be in that situation. But the assistant coach was the fella who came to Preston prior, beforehand. He was from Burnley. Head coach was from Birmingham. And 11 of the lads who, like the main players who the team was built around pretty much, were all English. So it was like as if, imagine going on like a lad's holiday, but you had to do a little bit of school, play footy every day. and then obviously do other things that you do on lads' holiday: booze, drink, party. So we were doing that, like we were at it like 3-4 times a week, which
Doesn't sound too bad, that does it?
probably for someone who wants to be a professional footy player,
Not too bad.
that doesn't work though, does it?
No.
But again, that probably comes back down to like my mindset. You mentioned earlier, why didn't I make it? That's how you opened up the podcast. Like, I still wanted to be a pro, but I was fucking drinking 3 times a week.
See, I never have ever had that like thought process about you going out drinking and partying and all that, to be honest with you. Did you do that before you went over to America? Because I always thought that you was just head down, wanted to be football and done everything properly. That's the way I seen it.
No, I didn't ever. I was pretty focused when it comes to the alcohol. Anyway, I was pretty focused prior to going to America. I definitely, you know, would, if someone was to ask me what I wanted, it was to be a professional footy player, but my actions wouldn't have been in alignment with that. When I trained though, I was on it.
Yeah.
You know, but obviously, as you know, it takes more than just rocking up to training with a certain mindset. Like being a footy player, or at least being just the best individual you can be. If you're that passionate about something, like I would tell people that I was back then, it's a light. It's what you're doing when you're not at the pitch, and it's all the stuff that, you know, I'm not going to bore you too about. It used to know more than anyone, but so my actions weren't in alignment with that. But then when I sort of came home after 7 years of being in America, I still wanted to. The reason I could have stayed in America because I got offered the job there to be a coach, and I would have sorted my visa out, and it would have been a bit of a long-term decision. But I knew that if I would have decided to stay there beyond my master's degree, that would have been my decision to mentally quit on playing football, because it was like a job, it was a career, full-time coaching. So that was an important moment, really, when 2017, July, when I graduated with my master's, it was like, right, what am I doing? Take this job in Michigan, start, you know, the coaching over there, or come home and literally, you know, 2 reasons. I've been away from home for 9 years, 7 in America, 2 in Preston. My older brother was having kids, and I'd been away and not really been connected to the family for that long. So 9 years I was away. So that coupled with wanting to keep playing pro footy, that was those things motivated me to come home. But the reason I'm sharing that is because when I came home, I took those bad habits of drinking still with me. So like when I came home with my mates, Luke and, you know, all the people that you two know, that was me firm mates, and so I was pretty much out.
That is quite normal, though, isn't it? When you haven't seen your mates for such a long period of time, then you're obviously going to go out and catch up with them and all and start drinking. Yeah. So that is pretty normal.
I just felt like I was just out most weekends, but then that was probably the hardest, you know, one of the hardest moments of my life, because in that journey I really lost sort of who I was, and that was hard for me. That,
you know, you said before in America that experience changed you, and then you've just said you kind of lost who you was. What was it that changed it? Like, and how did you define who you was after that period of time?
Yeah, so when I was in America, like, even little things, like I remember looking back on emails that I was writing to the coach, and I couldn't even type, you know, because like in school I was just like, I'm not gonna. Why would I apply myself and say I'm gonna be a pro footy player? I was just convinced of that. So GCSEs and all, I was just like, I'm not gonna I want to do extra coursework for me. I'm gonna be a footy player. So this is not relevant to what I'm gonna do. But obviously I was in for a reality shock when I didn't become a footy player. So what America done for me is like, because the first 2 years in America was hard. Like I was failing at school, and the system that saved me was in America. If your grades aren't at a certain point, you can't play. So that system actually saved me, really, because I had a decision to make where my grades were falling that low. Because when I went there, I was drinking, playing footy, and playing FIFA, and I was on FIFA Live just all day. And I remember at the end of my second year, the assistant coach had to get sent by the head coach to come to the dorm room to get me out my dorm.
Didn't you want to give me FIFA, would you?
No. To get me off FIFA, out my dorm. He'd walk me to the library, and he'd sit with me in the library because my grades were about to fail so much where I couldn't play. So that was just like an indication of how I would apply myself with anything to do with... So I just wasn't applying myself at all. So I think that the change in me was that decision to actually become a man and start applying myself as a functional human being who, and around that time, I also, there's probably a bit of self-awareness where like, I'm not a pro footy player, I'm in America. There's probably a chance that's probably around the time I started considering there's probably a chance here where I'm not going to have a career in pro footy. I need to start applying myself. And that's what America done for me. I started to apply myself when it comes to the schooling and stuff, which I'd never done before. Like when I went there, I had hardly any grades, hardly any GCSEs. I couldn't write a fucking email.
Yeah.
And I've come home with a master's degree. Do you know what I mean? It's like the complete opposite end of the spectrum. And I would never fathom.
What the hell does fathom mean, by the way?
Like I'd never be able to.
What does fathom mean? I don't know why you keep on saying fathom. What does that mean?
I'd never be able to comprehend.
Could you tell me what fathom means? I'm getting a headache.
It means comprehend.
Oh, what the hell does comprehend mean? Oh,
What's comprehend mean, man?
Envision, I guess, or I don't know, or like come to
Comprehend.
terms with.
Come to terms with.
Yeah.
I can't wait to fathom this.
Yeah. Come to terms with. You happy with that?
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Get your phone out, like get on Google.
Get a cool type. How do you spell it?
You need a master's degree, lad. You need a
What
scholarship.
if you got a master's degree in?
You need a scholarship at Notre Dame College.
What if you got a master's degree in? No? What is it?
Communication, it was.
John's where you are. John's where you are. Was
When you was in America?
with email now.
Oh yeah, I'm not good at emails. No,
Yeah, but he hasn't needed.
Yeah,
He hasn't needed to write emails.
No, but
and he's done all right.
On that subject,
Because he
though,
smells good.
I do smell
He's got
good.
a nice car. He's got a good life.
But
He's good looking.
On that subject, you should actually be taught how to write the email in school, shouldn't you? Do you not think?
Yeah, but that's not more important than getting taught how to have a good mindset, though.
Yeah.
We're
We're gonna get into the mindset.
I went to school from like nursery to primary school to secondary school to uni to masters.
Yeah.
Not once did anyone stop me to talk about my mindset. Do you know what I mean?
No.
And only really like when I come home and sort of lost me who I was, because I had a master's degree, but I weren't getting. No one would offer me any jobs. I couldn't get a job. Billy Wood, you both know Billy Wood.
Do I know Billy?
Goalie.
Schoolboys
he played with
goalie.
us. Yeah, I think actually, yeah.
You do, yeah. I know you know Billy close, Andre, but Billy was working in Speak at a factory called Pronovus.
Yeah.
And that's where I got a job. I couldn't get another jobs. And then I was playing for Radcliffe Borough. The manager, Joe Gibbo, had a coaching company in schools. So I was doing like 10 hours a week with him, coaching like year ones, year twos.
Yeah.
And then I was going to the factory to do night shifts from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. at Pronovus Speak, literally 2 minutes from here.
So was that the first time you started coaching over here, or did you start over in America?
I started in America because I was when I part of the package as to get the master. So when I graduated from my undergraduate degree, I stayed an extra year in Cleveland, and I was the assistant coach, just voluntary for the university. And then I started doing some club coaching, but it was all just team stuff. Then my visa ran out, and I had the decision to make: come home, or the only way for me to stay was either to marry someone to get the visa, or I had to get another student visa. So that's why I've done the masters, because the masters allowed me another 2 years to stay in the country, and they've got like a good package over there where there was a university south of Chicago called Quincy University, and they offered me to like a stipend of like $7-8 grand a year, masters paid for, accommodation paid for, food paid for, and the only deal is I'm the assistant coach for the men's soccer program. So that was my first official, coaching job, if you like. So I started coaching teams there. Then as I'm on campus, I'm looking around and I'm looking at like the baseball, the basketball, the American football, and everyone's doing small individual practice. Like it's a big thing over there in all the other sports, but just not footy. So I'm like, I've been in America for a while now, looking at like all these other sports, doing all this private individual stuff. And I'm like, why isn't that a thing in soccer, yeah? So then
Sorry for saying soccer, but soccer in America.
Soccer works, yeah. So I started saying to myself, I started saying to the team I was coaching, the lads at Quincy University, I started saying, listen, if anyone wants to stay after training, I'll do like like the centre forwards want to stay or something, I'll do some sort of like specific stuff with you. So some of them started taking me up on it and started saying, Tom, after training, would you stick around in that? And I just started making stuff up. And so over there, I was just doing it with the university lads for free. And then I graduated. I'm trying to like not miss stuff out, do you know what I mean? I also don't want to rush everything.
No, yeah.
But because there's a lot of stuff that happened. But and then long story, and then I graduated, came home.
Did you get a buzz for it then when you was training them lads for free? So you was doing it for free off your own back when you was putting on specific sessions for them? Did you start getting a little bit of buzz?
Yeah.
And you start to feel like I
loved
could do
it,
this
yeah.
here?
I did, I loved it, yeah. I loved it. And I remember like, I hadn't coached for that long up until that point. I think what served me quite well is like, I always naturally took up leadership positions, even like nosy schoolboys. I always naturally took up leadership positions in teams and groups that I was in. So I think, you know, now I look at it now, like if I'm looking for a coach now, you know, if I'm speaking to like a young 17, 18-year-old and they've been the captain of their teams for a while, they've probably got some tendencies that are in alignment with coaching, whether it be voice, being vocal, you know, leading by example and all that. These are all things that we look for in coaching. So I was still early on in my coaching journey, but when I came home, I said, my brother, Lee, I feel like he's always been in these important pivotal crossroads in my life, but I remember him saying, start coaching. And I was just like, nah, people wouldn't, I didn't think people would pay for it. I didn't think people, I hadn't lived in Liverpool for 9 years. It's not like I'd been in like the semi-pro circuit or anything. So I didn't have a name for myself in Liverpool, or at least, no one knew me. I weren't in like the semi-pro circuits or anything. So I kept saying to Lee, no one will pay for it. No one will pay for private training. Why would someone bring the kid to me? And in England, they had that mindset, which is still partly true. Like, or at least I feel it's true, where parents think they know all the answers. So I didn't feel like they'd be parents open-minded enough and to like be like, no, I'm going to pay for a private one-on-one coach for my kid. I always felt like dads would just be like, nah, I'll coach.
Yeah, which is true. But also the kids wouldn't listen to the.
Yeah, but as I say, on the flip side, obviously we've both got coaching businesses, so a lot of the feedback comes from parents. Probably is, and you probably guess it's similar to me, is they're not really receptive to me, and I probably weren't with my dad. There's just that resistance, isn't there? Sometimes when you're getting told by maybe a family member or whatever.
I listened to your coaching convos with you and your dad for an hour. 2 hours round trip back and forth.
Because he couldn't kick a ball straight, that's why. But if he had any like football background, then maybe I would have listened. But on the subject of obviously footy and one-to-ones and private training and stuff like that, before you kind of come to the conclusion that maybe you wasn't good enough to make it as a pro, when obviously that we know that there's so many different fundamentals that go into making it as a footballer, not just being good as a footballer. But if there was one-to-one sessions as we was growing up and like kind of developing as footballers, do you believe that may have kind of tipped you over the edge to actually get your professional contract? Or do you, what's your thoughts on that now? So if it was around when we was coming up.
You know what it is for me? At least my our stuff at Tom Owens UK, like me and the team, ours is more about like, I think that the technical side of things, it without a shadow of a doubt, you know, just purely doing repetition would help. Now, obviously, there's an argument that like Towie and the footy is not a rep.
Yeah.
So quality reps is a conversation too, you know, like not just reps, but quality reps. And then on top of that, it's like quality reps with a coach who can objectively give you some pointers and nudge you in the right direction. Do you know what I mean? That's. But I think the big thing that I would have benefited from, which is the person I try to be, and I try and model our coaches and our philosophy of, it's more the mentorship of like having a positive role model in your life. Like that would have tipped me over the edge without a shadow of a doubt, because I didn't have that. I had my older brother, but he weren't old enough like to have wisdom to share with me, because he was still learning. So whereas now me and him both, we've obviously lived on the planet a little bit longer. If we now had a 16-year-old younger brother, like we'd be really, again, it goes back to the challenge though of him being receptive because we're his older brother, but we would really be able to help him and guide him just because. Because we didn't, because our dad passed when I was 10. I didn't have that like person, you know, who could be there for me to like when I was frustrated, when I didn't play very well, that sort of person that can put the arm around me. Yeah, or that male figure. And I eventually had that in Lee, my older brother, but that was way beyond after, you know, I've got that in him now. Yeah. But obviously I'm not, the window for me to be a pro footy player is well done, well gone. So I think just technically going and doing reps would have helped, but I don't feel strongly enough to say it would have tipped me over to be a pro. But I think that coupled with the coach that I try to be, which is a life mentor for a young Tom Owens, that would have really supercharged me, I feel like.
Do you think, like from the outside looking in, the relationship you got with your brother is unbelievable? Do you think he took like the role model on trying to look after you, and now because you didn't have your dad when you was past 10? Do you think that that's something that you want to do for these young lads, even though they've got parents, but just to give them another arm around them and just help them along the way to be there?
100%, yeah, 100%.
Do you think that's what that's come from?
Yeah, I remember saying it to her here. I've obviously got a daughter now who's 2, but before I was a parent, I remember saying to Lee, because he's got 3 kids and his oldest is like 9. So the last 9 years he's been a parent. But I remember when he was a parent and I wasn't, and I remember we had conversations something about like it was humorous, but it was like, you don't know anything about being a parent. And at the time, we had like 200 clients or something. I was like, lad, I'm a dad for 200 people. And at the time he was like, lad, that's nothing to do with, but I actually like, even though I was joking with him at the time, I do view myself as a parent figure to, because again, I just go back to like, it's impossible to have enough positive role models in your life. You can't, no one ever failed because I had too many positive people. Like that's never ever happened. But the opposite's happened where I had too many negative people. And we all know examples of plenty of people, particularly people from the city who maybe just in the wrong crowd at the wrong time with the wrong people. So
just touching on that, Tom, actually, because I know I'll forget. There was a time when you, Lee, I think obviously when he was in the factory and stuff like that, having positive people around you, I think there was a time when you all kind of just shifted in your mindset and started maybe taking Tom Owens UK a little bit more serious. Obviously, Lee started doing things with his business as well, and then Mikey, and then there's just something about your whole little circle. As you said, when you came back, the circle you had, you was just drinking a lot and maybe wasn't helping you grow as a person. But there was like a shift in mindset. What was the trigger? Who was the trigger? Was it Lee? Was it yourself? Can you remember now?
Yeah, I feel like I never know who goes first with stuff, but I've actually found it in the gym as well. The same thing happens where like me, Lee and Michael, we all seem to like ride the same waves at the same time, even if we're not, and we obviously speak often, but we're not like with each other or talking every single day. We've all got our own lives, but even like, it's a weird thing. I don't know whether, going a bit deep, but energetically, we all seem to like, whether it be self-development, we all seem to happen to like jump on that at the same time. In the gym, whether it be fitness, high rocks, all trying to like become like into peak condition in the gym. We all seem to get on that at the same time. I don't know whether there's some sort of brotherly
people say
energy going on.
There's like that saying, isn't it, about the 5 friends you hold, and kind of defines you as a person, doesn't it? Obviously, I've got something, as you say, maybe it's energy or something, I don't know what it is, but something seems to happen where one does it and then it kind of triggers like a little bit of a chain reaction. And then obviously it makes it easier for you to continue to doing what you're doing, doesn't it? Yeah,
a couple of things that I think of with the self-development is before I came home, my mate, he'd actually left uni, but my mate Sam, he was in Cleveland and I was in Chicago at this point, and there was a fella called Grandad. You familiar with Grandad?
I am, yeah. So big on the property and all that.
Yeah. So he had that was like one of the first personal development books I picked up. He had a book called Be Obsessed or Be Average. And I remember Sam sending me a video of him. And I think what resonates with me is that his dad passed when he was 10, and I heard that in like a video in like the first 90 seconds. So right away, my dad passed when I was 10. His dad, I was just like, right away, I was just like, I'm going to listen to this. And as he's saying it, in the background, he's like sat on like a private jet. And he's in his studio, his business. He's a really, from an outside looking in, he's got looks like a successful businessman. And that sort of like broke a bit of my limiting beliefs that I don't know whether I was subconsciously thinking, poor me, because of this situation that I've been in. There's only, I've got limitations on what I can achieve. But then all of a sudden I'm on YouTube looking at this fella who's been through the same, circumstances as me. Again, don't know him personally, but at least the passing of the dad. But then he's really successful. Again, I don't know. So, success is, it's hard to gauge inside whether how peaceful someone is or how happy someone is, but he's got jets, loads of money, massive business, really successful, big brand. And that sort of shook my limiting beliefs, I think, when I was like, there is a big ocean of opportunity out there that regardless of what I've been through, circumstances, I can achieve whatever. So Sam invited me to Grant Cardone's 10X Growth Conference, first ever one he's ever done. And I remember being blown away. I couldn't believe it. I went, and to get the ticket, Lee helped me think Michael might have helped me because I didn't have any money. I was just a student. So I flew from Chicago to Miami. Sam flew from Cleveland to Miami. My younger brother Michael flew from Liverpool or Manchester to Miami, and we all met in Miami in 2017. Was it 2017, I believe? And we went to Grant Cardone's first ever 10x Growth conference. Now that same conference now, he fills stadiums. There's like 30,000 people there now. There was like 1,100 people there at the one we went to. But I couldn't believe there was that many people who would gather in a room to talk about getting better.
Yeah.
And it was just when I was there, I was just like, oh my God, this is mad. You just don't, when you just don't know a world exists until you get exposed to it. So before I came home, I had this like taste of self-development, and I remember like Grant Cardone's got this idea of beating the sun up in the morning, exercise and all like the stuff that you see. So I started like taking it serious, getting obsessed. Whatever he would say, I'd just do. And when I came home, I lost that a little bit because I couldn't get a job, didn't have any money. I was sleeping in my ma's house on the floor. 24, 25. I'd always felt like, whether it be Knowsley or Preston or, the team, I always felt like I was valued.
People looked up to you. Role model.
Yeah, I think I just had this identity that even in school, like, because I played footy, you know what it's like in school when you play footy, everyone's like, you're going to be a footy player. And so I always just felt this like, I was always quite confident. Just
you feel like you lost your identity then when you come back?
Yeah, and I was playing football, but it's just like, I was playing at Radcliffe Borough and then like Linnet, and I was jumping around semi-pro, but it weren't the same. I couldn't have the impact on the game. It was a different game. Like I just couldn't adapt to like playing here, and I remember like that self-development inside of me just went missing for a while.
And is that when the self-doubt come in, when you come over and you spoke to Lee and you said about you want to start doing a coaching?
I never said it. Lee told me to start it, and I was just resisting the idea. I was just like, nah, it won't work.
Self-doubt.
Yeah.
This podcast is sponsored by Blythe House, financial advisors for high net worth individuals and business owners. If you're looking for advice in pensions, investments, mortgages, inheritance tax planning, life cover, business loans, and asset finance, then Blythe House has the expertise for you. Head over to the show notes on whatever platform you're listening to this on to find out more. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like and follow the page. Thank you.
So when did that self-doubt stop? Because what you've done now is unbelievable, and talk us through the start of Tom Owens, where you started off, who you started off with, and then how it's grown.
Yeah, so
You're trying to get a plug there, aren't you?
I don't know if I was the first one, was I? That's one of the first ones, surely.
First pro.
You're trying to get a plug. He'd see that up, didn't you?
Was I the first one, yeah?
First pro. First pro. You put me on the map.
I was wondering what you was looking at me for. I just did that innocently then.
I remember, look at that picture. You sent me that
on the show notes, talk to Tom about me being his first client.
No, so I'll start that actually then. So I didn't know I was your first one. But obviously me and you were mates, like played together and all that. No, you went to America, you come home. And then I don't know whether you messaged me or I messaged you, but we obviously still chatted anyway. And you said about you starting to do one-on-one sessions and stuff like that. Do you want to get in and do a session with me? So I was like, obviously I'll have the course, yeah. So when I met you, it was on a field on Neverley. You knew the groundskeeper, if I can remember correctly. The field,
Coggle,
the field was shut, but because you knew the groundskeeper, he let you have the keys. We weren't on there. You had all the equipment yourself and all that. And I loved the session, yeah. It was great. Loved it. But I think that must have been one of your first pros, yeah?
Well, that was my first pro, my first experience doing that. But I think what was there was a time, I remember a moment where I was in the factory, I was doing stuff for the school, just coaching the schools. And there was a period where like I'd made a bit of a shift where I was like, right, I'm not gonna go out anymore. I'm not gonna drink. So I just decided not to drink anymore. So no alcohol, no more distractions. And I started picking the books back up again. So all the books that got me like excited when I was in America, the Grant Cardone books and stuff, I started investing in myself. And while I was in the factory, because I was stood from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. and I weren't moving the whole time, I got these invisible headphones and I just listened to audiobooks in every single shift. And I was doing that 3 times a week for 12 hours. So you can imagine that's a lot of content. And sometimes I was reading books 4, 5, 6 times in a row. And I could actually feel myself rewiring myself and getting that excitement going again and starting to find myself again. And then because I was doing that, I started to be more committed and more present with the coaching and being a bit more confident just in my day-to-day life, and started being more open to Lee's conversation and ideas of like, hey, go and do your coaching and all that. And so during that, like I done like my first ever session, which was just in a church in Nedley by my mum's house. But I remember a moment, right? Weird. This is a weird experience. But I remember being in the factory, and it was around the time where like I'm doing all the books, and I've probably been doing that now for like, you know, a few weeks. But I'm in the factory, hate it. It's obviously just you know, the people that you're there and whatever, just hated it, and never felt like. I think what was hard for me is being the captain of all these teams and all that, thinking I was someone. And then I just got pure fucking humble pie standing in a factory with a high vis on. And not to demean that job, but I just felt like, dude, that just weren't me. And I just couldn't like, my identity was just gone. I didn't know who I was. And I remember a moment, and I was in the factory, and it was about 4:30 in the morning, and there was a young lad who was next to me on the line, and my job was to get the magazines, cut the ribbon on them, and moved them to the left. And that's all I did, just for 12 hours. And I remember the lad who was on the line next to me, he looked at me and he was like, Tom, I'm starving, you know. It's 4:30, so like, you know, you just like, I just looked at him, and I just cracked on and all that. And he went, and it sounds stupid this, but he went to me, do you know what I'd love now? I was like, what? He went, I'd love some fizzy Haribo right now, you know. Right. And I honestly remember, I remember it so clear. I remember looking at him, and then I remember having like this out of body fucking experience. Weird.
Pick the worst thing to say to you.
Weird. But also the best. Like, I needed it.
Yeah.
But
it made you realise the people that I'm around right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at him.
Wait there, what the fuck is wrong with Fizzy Haribos?
Nothing. But the fact
4
that
in the morning.
that's what he's kind of craving at 4:30.
I mean,
Needs a bit of sugar.
that's another podcast.
Yeah.
Talk about your diet. So you're going the Prem, lad, because you're having fizzy Haribo.
Got him. You need the sugar.
So I looked at him. I looked around the room. And I just remember hearing this voice, just like, it was obviously just like myself, but I remember this voice of like, lad, get the fuck out of here. What are you doing in here? And no word of a lie, I took my high vis off, put it on the floor, the line was still going, I left, I didn't get paid for that shift, because in my mind, I weren't there for the money, I was there for that moment. I needed to be there, you know, and that, a lot of things changed after that for me. I was like, what have I settled for here? You know, like when
Definitely
you're
not Fizzy Haribos by the sound.
no, and I just, my standards, that moment really illustrated something deeper than the Haribo. It was deeper. I'd settled for shit standards for myself. And because a couple of things didn't go my way, whether it be trying to be a pro in America and going to all these different teams, not getting a pro, coming home, there was just a bit of this, couldn't get a job on the floor in my ma's house. There was just this bit like fucking violins out a little bit. So I'm just sort of, I went and got the job in the factory. It wasn't like I was getting it and then I was actively like looking for other work.
Yeah.
I just settled that like, I'm just going, this is where I am now, and I'll just pick up some money as minimum wage. And just that moment for me just illustrated a deeper meaning that I was just like, lad, fucking, there's a big world out there. You can provide more value than this. And that was it then.
Well, can we just thank the lad that said he
if
Fizzy
he
Haribos,
watches
'cause
this, I owe him a lot.
You owe him a lot, mate.
I owe him a lot.
Because
I owe him about fucking unlimited resources of Haribo
Haribos, yeah.
forever.
Took
I remember the lad. I don't remember his name or nothing, but like, if I saw him, I think I would be able to recognise him because I worked next to him a few times.
It's funny, yeah. It's funny. I mean, obviously, I've been on site myself, and some of the conversations they're not very intellectual, are they? Without kind of stereotyping every single person.
Yeah.
Certain conversations you do have.
Yeah, because I
just
remember
makes you
even
realise
I
a little
remember like meeting some like foreigners in there and stuff who were boss.
Yeah.
They were boss, and but it just
We
went.
do have crazy conversations, yeah.
Yeah.
But you spoke about mindset earlier, when I said about if there was a one-to-one coaching throughout your childhood, would that have kind of helped you make it as a pro? But you kind of put it down to mindset a little bit more. You've now got a mindset academy. Is that what you're trying to do with the children? You're trying to help more so with the mindset academy and kind of program them to think a certain way, which you think is going to be beneficial to their growth?
Yeah, it's really what sits behind the football training anyway from day one. It was like trying to be that father figure or that support system that people I felt like didn't have, or I didn't have at least, that I felt like I needed. So it was always something that like, it wasn't like I started the academy and then started this idea of like, right, I want to help people with mindset. It was always number one value of mine from day one, because of my journey and what self-development done for me and what it continues to do for me. It was always number one on the top of my list. But the Mindset Academy came about because through football, it's an indirect way of doing it, isn't it? Like if I said to most of the kids, come and meet me at Prescott Soccer Centre to do a mindset session for an hour, most 9 and 10-year-olds are like, I don't need that, because no one knows what, they don't know what they need. They're 9 and 10, So, but I know what they need because I'm experienced and I'm old enough to know what they need. So football's almost like what's the analogy of like, is it the bull that chases that lays them in with, if someone's trying to lay in what is that?
Matador.
It's like the mind, like
Matador with the
it's like trying to like, so I've got a 2-year-old, right? Yeah. She doesn't want to eat vegetables, but I've got to blend the veg in with all the other stuff so that she eats them. She doesn't know she's eating them, but she's eating them. So that's what I look at with the football. It's like, here's football, look at all these poles, all this equipment, like all these footies and all that. So then a 9-year-old turns up and is like, oh my God, this is amazing. But then really they don't know, but there's mindset that's blended in under the gravy.
You're just drilling it into them subconsciously without them knowing.
Yeah. So football's the vehicle to teach what I want to teach, what I'm passionate about teaching, which is regardless of football and what happens in football, there's a humongous world out there with a million trillion opportunities for people to do whatever you want to do. But regardless of what path you walk, if you ain't got persistence and determination, and if you're not hungry and you're not focused, you might achieve something temporarily, but to actually sustain a good level and at something, you need those ingredients, So trying to give the pros, whether it be yourself or a 7-year-old, trying to filter them ingredients into, because by the way, we talk about kids a lot here, but, I'm fortunate enough now to train, all different pros at all different levels. Like, it's easy to assume they have all those ingredients, but oftentimes they don't. Or if they do, they don't have too many people to talk to about it, which is maybe a separate conversation. But this is why this podcast is good, because this is a place to talk about that type of shit.
No, it is. I don't think it is a separate conversation. I think like the lads that come and train with you, the professionals, like from the outside looking in, like people might think, oh, well, they don't need it or whatever. But like I can speak as a professional that the conversation that they'll have with you, they might feel scared or embarrassed to have the conversation with the manager, or they don't want to say to the manager, can I go and work on this with you? So that's where they might go and work with you without obviously feeling embarrassed to go and do it with the first team manager, which they shouldn't. But I know that lads do it.
Yeah, I also think that like, I actually did a post about this yesterday. It was in the caption, but I feel like everyone needs 2 programs, and everyone needs the program that's given to you by your club. But even if someone's working in a business, the program that's given to you, if you're an employee at a business, the program that's given to you by the business in terms of like what's expected of you and whatever, like do that. But I think everyone needs their own program, But I remember hearing something along the lines of Suarez doesn't like to get shut down, like, the day before the game. He likes to stay out and do extras and stuff. Like it makes him feel better for the next day. So like when I heard that, I was sort of, people are different, aren't they? Like what's right for me might not be right for someone else. So, but I don't, again, you could speak to this more than me, but I don't think the clubs look at every individual and go, right, does he want to do extras or does he not? I think they just go, rest day for everyone, or everyone's training. I don't, whereas I think sometimes the players who come and see me, they express frustration because they're like, the club want me to shut down, but I feel better when I keep ticking over. So it's like, that's where someone like me is useful and helpful, because then you can always just text me and we get some work in.
I think with strikers, usually, if there's a striker coach, they probably say, come on, use for coming over here and we'll do a session together, won't they?
Yeah, I think the help's always there. At a football club, it's definitely always been at all my football clubs. If I ever pulled the manager and said, look, I want to work on my crossing at the end of the session or finishing, that'll always be there. Obviously, certain days you might be like, oh, John, too much, you got a game tomorrow, you need to rest your legs or whatever. Then I think it comes from you as an individual, whether you know yourself, whether it's better for you to rest your legs or it's better for you to get the reps in. But like I said, everyone's different, so depends how you are as a person.
Yeah, I just don't think that that's accommodated for. But I've never been in a pro club, so I don't know. My only experience is when I speak to pros, there's a reason they're coming and training with me, you know what I mean? Like, it's because they want to train, like they're paying me. So it's like...
Something must be missing.
Yeah, it's not like as if it's part of the curriculum. They're like, they're texting me, Tom, I want to train. And they're paying for it.
Yeah.
So obviously it's something that they feel like they need, that they're not getting, otherwise they wouldn't need to come and do the extras, you know?
Yeah. Going back to it then, so how did you grow Tom Owens UK and how did you get all these professional footballers that you've got now, which are high Premiership players as well?
Because I had you first and you fucking got a massive network and
You're
a big deal, lad.
Did put you on the map.
You put me on the map. I remember looking at that picture, right, and I look different, don't I? I look like I'm your fan who just, you just met your fan.
You are
I am your fan, actually, yeah. I knew you were going to say that. Look, I just met my hero, do you know what I mean? Are you looking at the picture there?
No.
Haven't you?
I'll be able to find it.
We get the picture.
When we
I
get
just
to
met me here. I look
when we get
nervous.
to Joe Rogan's size and you tell the guy in the back to get that picture.
Nah, it's hilarious.
Nah, but you know what
mate,
though? We were talking about this. Sorry, was you going to say something?
I was just talking about obviously that picture. My mate Frog, he's got autism, and
yeah, great him.
he's a legend.
Yeah,
and I told him I was going to do a session with Tom. It's hilarious now thinking back at it because this is when he was first started off. Like, Frog's got autism, but he's just a great lad. He just wants to be happy and wants to surround himself by good people and stuff like that. So we brought him, and he was working for a water company at the time. So we brought a crate of water that he was working for, and brought them over. But we were doing shooting, so me and Tom were doing shooting. We put Frog in goal, so Frog's in goal. I think we bought him some goalie gloves, and Frog's in goal, and I'm just whacking him at him, trying to make them try and save them and all that. But yeah, it just goes to show, obviously, that started off, we had Frog in goal, and what you've gone on to do now, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, I remember we were speaking about this earlier on the phone, but I thought I'd save it till because I think when I was joking about that picture before, it looks like I've just met me hero, do you know what I mean? But I think, I reckon for you, I think your journey's been interesting, and I don't know whether you'll agree with this, but when we were at Nosy Schoolboys, you were obviously a good player, and there was always potential there for you to be a player, but I wouldn't have said that you were gonna go and do what you were gonna do. Particularly, like, we had some good players, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I think your journey there had been different, and I think for you, that which is what that picture sort of illustrates is, I feel like you made a commitment at some point which changed, because I always remember that you were like smaller, skinnier, but then on that picture, and I think I hadn't seen you in years. Like, before that picture, when would I have seen you?
When we were 14, maybe 14, yeah.
So I remember that you but then when I remember you rocked on, obviously I'd been following anyway, so I could see that you were, but I felt like you built your body in a way that was just like, I don't know, I just felt like that was a crazy evolution that like, looking at that picture and then looking at like a 14-year-old you.
I'm an animal now, like. Nah, on that, you're probably spot on.
But
so,
what happened there though? Like,
I've
always thought.
Yeah, so.
Steroids.
I was at Wigan for like, I was at Wigan for 16, so like 7 years.
Yeah, we used to bat you.
And then, before the scholarship, I got released. And it probably boiled down to the fact that I was small and skinny, like you said. At that time, my granddad, I was dead close to my granddad. My granddad had cancer. And we just go down to see my granddad. And he was on these build-up milkshakes, like just to get the protein or the nutrients into him and stuff like that. And I remember him saying to me, get on these...
Was you on the Ensure?
No, they were, I can't remember what they were called. They were called
It's obviously like basically a meal replacement.
Yeah, they were called build-up. They were called build-up.
The protein shake?
Yeah, basically, yeah. And he was on them because obviously I don't know whether he couldn't eat certain things or whatever when he was on chemo or whatever it was. But I remember him saying to me, like, you need to get on these. So that was like a little light bulb in me thinking, why is he saying that to me for? Like, I must need to like work on my strength and get strong because obviously I'm small, so that's going to play against me. But if I'm small but I'm strong, then it's obviously going to benefit me and stuff like that. So I think in the end, my mum and dad got me a little multi-gym in my bedroom. And I just hammered the gym, got a bit stronger. Yeah, I'm stocky, like, to be fair. And then, I think that obviously helped me because then when I went to Shrewsbury...
I felt like that was a massive change, though. Like, me, and maybe just more so for me because I would have seen you at 14, 15, and then next thing I'm 25 years of age, seeing you again. That's a long time, innit? So, yeah, and that in my mind, I always like felt like between that gap, something must have happened for you where you were like, right, this is the situation I'm in. These are my circumstances. I'm gonna build myself up into that, and that's something that, you know, again, you started the conversation as to like what, like I didn't do that. You know what I mean?
Well, I've always had the hunger, and obviously I've had the rejection as well. But like the hunger never left me. Like it's always been driven into me. I've never been a big drinker. I was always just focused on always being wanting to be a footballer. Like growing up where I was from in Liverpool, Highton. Like I've spoken about it before, but like the people that surrounded were a bit different to the way I was. Like I was just always focused on football, but they allowed me to do that as well. I never got isolated, never got left separately. Like they let me be with them, but know that I wouldn't do certain things with them, and never got like violated for it, or never got people talk bad about me. I was looked after really, which was good for me, and that always helped me. So yeah, I never really was interested in drinking. I always just wanted to become a footballer. Maybe that was why I just never give up and just
drinking protein shakes.
Just getting on the protein shake.
So you've obviously changed your habits a little bit there, haven't you? Like your daily routine and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think obviously when I got released from Wigan, like you said before about Lee, when he got released from Preston, he didn't want to leave the house. Like I've spoke about this before, but I didn't want to go to school the next day when I got released from Wigan, because I felt like everyone always looked at me as John the footballer, but when you get released, you're not John the footballer anymore.
Did you get released at 16?
Yeah, and so just before the scholarship, so I didn't get a white ear Wigan. I then went on to Shrewsbury to do my white ear at Shrewsbury.
That was it, yeah. Remember that?
Which, like in hindsight now, was 100% the best thing that ever could have happened to me.
Why?
Obviously at the time, getting the release, you think it's the world's over, but it was definitely 100% the best thing that ever happened to me. I was playing for the first team a year later when I was 17.
Yeah, I remember that.
Playing for the first team straight in.
It all happened fast, that, didn't it?
Yeah, fast. Lucky, like the man just gave me a chance, and luckily for me, I scored 2 on my debut, which set me up.
See, I don't think lucky for you though, because like I think of all the fucking, you know, you end up getting a fucking gym in your house to make a commitment. Like that's a commitment, you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know, I don't feel like that is lucky.
You know, you're like in a position now where you're coaching like these elite athletes and elite players and stuff like that. Talking about commitments, do you see something different to them than, without maybe outing some of the lower league players that you coach or whatever, do you see something that's just a slightly different for the elite athletes that you coach?
Well, I'm still an elite, but what he's trying to say is...
You're referring to John as the lower, like so the lower end of the pros, Andre.
What's the difference between us League 2 players...
And some of the Barinis who can do them free kicks into the top bins, do you know what I mean? So
to the high Premiership players.
Yeah, John.
Do you notice any difference? Be honest.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, there obviously is, yeah. There is a difference. I think like...
Is it daily habits?
I think it's their like... They're really particular. You know, like if they're not getting something, they'll just stay. Like I even remember times like, you know, training, whether it be, I don't want to name drop.
No, you name drop?
So if I'm training Gordon, I don't know, there's times where like he won't move on from something. One more, please just give us one. And then sometimes it gets, because you're not used to that as a coach, sometimes it's a bit awkward. You're like,
we need to move on.
You're like, lad, come on, we got this. It took me about 3 hours to plan this session on the whiteboard today. And we're only in the first bit of it. He's like, nah, I can do that a little. They're just always a little bit like, could do a little bit more, yeah.
So he started training with you then before he's gone to do what he's done now. Could you see that in him, that he was going to go on to them levels?
Yeah, I think he had that. I think he had that name anyway though beforehand. I remember training him when he was. So I think everyone always known that he was good at Everton. But I remember training him when he was just doing good things for like the 18s and
because then he went on loan to Preston, didn't he?
Yeah. And that didn't even go amazing for him either.
That's what I'm saying. So when you were training him then at them times,
but you could see though, like I think with him, what I couldn't believe how tall he was when I met him. Like he was like towering over me. Like, you know, when you look at someone and you've seen them in the past or on the telly or whatever. But like the thing that's really impressive about Anthony is that he's about 6'1". Maybe is he 6'2"? Maybe he's not 6'2", but he when you meet him, you'd think because he's a nippy, sharp winger, you'd think he'd be typically the short, probably your build.
But small.
No, you're a nippy winger, aren't you?
Used to be.
What are you now?
A winger.
Whereas the thing about him is he's like, he can, as big as he is, he can move. And over like a period, like what's really impressive when I watch him is like he can be sprinting that way at the ball, and then he can almost like hardly slow down and be sprinting that way with the ball. You know, just that ability to just pivot on the spot and go the opposite way and to get right back into top speed. So like that athletically.
Is it that I was going to say? Is it the athleticism?
Athletically, you can just, with him it is.
Yeah.
With him it is.
But the other Premier League players that
but then obviously like someone like a Kreze, you know, might not be like not like a Kyle Walker athlete, is he? But then with him, it's the details of the strike and getting himself set. And I think like, you know what, they sort of carry, like when I see with the Premier League players, they carry this like, cause they're a Premier League player. Don't know. There's obviously a bit of a pep in your step because you play in the Prem, but I actually think that like that really helps you in a way where like I feel like they're a lot more composed. You know, when they're training, it's not like I feel like maybe like a player, maybe most other people are trying to get to the Prem, so that element of like chasing the Prem, whereas they're in the Prem. So I feel like an element of like the composure, it's still a focus. But like if something goes wrong or something, there's an element of like, I'll get that. Whereas sometimes if something goes wrong with maybe someone who's not in the Premier,
frustration,
a little bit more frustration, but maybe that is coming from a place of maybe they've questioned whether they can make it to that level. And then when they make a mistake, maybe they're validating that little limiting thought they've got that I can't get there, make a mistake. Now they're a bit like, that mistake maybe validates this little negative belief I've got in my subconscious mind that I might not be worthy or belong at that top level. And then obviously that's only going to promote more frustration in it, which is only going to probably not help you in this next set. Probably not going to help you in the set afterwards. No. Whereas I think that the Premier League players probably carry I'm a Premier League player energy, which is I belong here. I don't know. There's certain mindset about that where I'm exactly where I belong. Like I look at like someone like I don't know him personally, love to train him, Jude Bellingham. You see what he's doing at such a young age. Like when you look at him, he looks like he believes in his heart, whatever he's selling his body, that he belongs exactly where he is. He never looks like he thinks he's out of place. But he fucks up just like the rest of them, like all of us. You know what I mean? He messes up, or even like Trent. Again, I don't know Trent personally, but he makes mistakes which get highlighted by fucking the world. But then it's just...
He just jogs back into position.
He just jogs back. And he'll lose the ball 4 times and get the ball next and still look for that 40-yarder. Like, what? That is a serious level of knowing who you are, what you stand for, and I belong at this level.
Salah's very similar, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He'll miss things that you probably think he could easily slide in, and then he'll just...
I look at Salah and I think he laughs me.
He laughs
because he needs to clean up his finishing.
That's funny you should say that because that is a massive topic I have conversations with about like with my friends and family and all that.
Because he's a bit scruffy, isn't he?
I agree. But like obviously he's a slotter. Like, he scores so many goals, his stats are ridiculous and all that. But if you look the way like he strikes the ball sometimes, I know this is mad coming from me, obviously a League 2 football and all that, but like considering how many goals he scored and all that, you wouldn't exactly say he's got like the cleanest strike. Like when you see Trent strike a ball.
It's the mindset though, innit? Because he laughs them off. He misses chances.
That's it. That's the juice, like.
He misses chances and laughs them off. And as a fan, you're sitting there thinking...
That's the juice there, like. That's the difference. So I think really, for like, if I was going back now and not being a Prem player, but wanting to be, and I was young and I had that window of opportunity, it would be trying to carry that, like, again, it goes back to like the self-development journey that I've been on, but like for me, like an aspiration of mine is to like stand on stage and speak in front of thousands of people, but obviously I've never done that. And I don't even know how I'm ever going to do that, but I don't need to know how at the minute. But I need to, like, even sat here today with you, I need to be bringing that energy, like as if I am that person, like that's where I belong, even though I can't hold that experience in my hand today, visually and mentally, that's where I believe I belong. So really just reminding myself of that, and because life gets busy, doesn't it, and gets noisy, so as noisy as things are, you know, really trying to find that stillness of like, which I think when I look at Trent and Bellingham, there's like a level of quietness about the way they play and the way they go about their business. And you just look at them, I'm waiting for one of them to panic, you know what I mean? you're waiting for it. You know, when you're watching, you're waiting for them to panic, and it never comes.
Yeah.
Ever, because they've got this level of, I know who I am, I know where I belong. I don't know. I'd love to speak to them to be like, where does that come from?
We spoke about some of the, well, you spoke about some of the players that you've maybe coached, Kreza being one of them, Anthony Gordon being another. Me and John was discussing this prior to the show. But we wanted to ask you, who stood out to you? And like, who, other than him, who stood out as like, you knew he was, well, if he wasn't already where he was, you knew they was destined to go where they are, or
surprised you? Who surprised you?
Yeah, probably they spoke about Anthony. I mean, just surprised me with like his athleticism. Just like it's just really good to be up close and personal to and watch someone do the business that close, that just athletically for
was
the
that
way,
natural, or was he, because obviously he's very slender, like doesn't strike me as someone who does a lot in the gym. Was that like a natural thing to him, or could you say?
I didn't help him with that. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. No, but does he? You know, the program that you said is like the one that they've got away from football.
He must have good genetics.
Yeah,
I
what I'm saying,
from the way he runs on, I think he must have good genetics, mate.
Yeah, I don't know whether he was like always. I don't know whether I feel like when he was younger, like way before me, when he was younger, I don't feel like he was the athlete that he was. I feel like he went on a mad growth spurt. Okay. I remember him telling me that there was a growth spurt period for him where he went on a bit of a growth spurt, and then obviously coupled with his, because obviously you look at, it's mad one really, because before his athleticism and how rapid he was like, picking it up in the 10 in the hole and all that. So that's why it makes him really unique now, because he can do that still. You know, that's probably why he's unique and why he's where he's at, because he's not just someone who can get the ball and run at you and put you on the back foot, but he can also wander into the middle, and he can get on the half turn, and he's got a good vision, and he's got a good eye for the pass, and so I think that's what makes him unique. But I think just because when I look at him, I look at all the pieces that he's got, and I think that if he could put all those pieces together, like he's obviously showing now, then yeah, I feel like the world is really, he can do whatever he wants to do.
Who's the best finisher you work with?
Are you trying to get your name to pop up here?
Maybe.
Probably had to go Fabio Barini. He's finishing, and I was probably surprised by that, really. Don't know whether he'd be offended by me saying that, but
why would you be surprised?
Just like the consistency of it. You know, like when you listen to them, and you'll know from coaching so much, Andre, like, you know, when you hear a ball, you hear the sound, you know, when it hits that spot, that sweet spot, and oftentimes, you know, like Kreza's the same, like when he hits a ball, 9.9 times out of 10, that sound of that sweet spot, you can hear it all the time. Whereas someone like me, I'll hit that like.
I think you've got that.
Technically, you're probably well better than you was.
Yeah,
I am.
Yeah,
I am.
I mean, comparing myself to someone like a Kreza.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe like 3 or 4 times out of 10, I might crack that sweet spot. And you know, it's like one of them ones where when it leaves your foot, you don't even need to like look at feel it. Why was we talking about that?
Fabio Barini, your best finisher.
Finisher. So so Barini, I felt like, and actually, and a young kid, Jimmy J. Morgan, who's just gone from Southampton to Chelsea. He now plays for Chelsea. I've trained him a few times, and he's only young, but I feel like he would be one that I wouldn't be surprised. And again, he's got that level of not arrogance, but I belong. He knows where he belongs.
On the flip side, then, who surprised you? As in, you thought they were going to be better than what they are?
You.
That's just the easy way out, isn't it? It's the easy way out, though. Anyone? Someone who's done a session with you once, then fucked off, then you've named up them.
No one does one session and fucks off. People stay forever. It's a life contract at TOUK. I know no one.
It's a business that's still working, you know, so you can't
ask me that question in 20 years.
Yeah.
What,
no one comes to mind. Like,
what's the vision then for Tom Owens UK? Where do you see yourself? I know you probably know this straight away. Where do you see yourself in like 5 years or in the future?
So what we've got in Liverpool at the minute, scaling that. So around the world, like I always look at in Liverpool, like our centre being as busy as it is, Prescott, Halewood at the minute, just the 2 centres. But if all those people, all those, you know, hundreds of people, if they are finding value in Tom Owens UK and we are an important part of their life, and, you know, like to think they would say their life is better because of Tom Owens UK, because our model is membership, and it's quite an immersive, like, it's not just a session every once in a while, it's every single week, sometimes 2 or 3 times a week. So we're a massive part of people's lives. So I think for people to have that here, in my mind, football is where would you go and people don't love footy, you know? So in my mind, I would love to, you know, have training centres across the UK and then far beyond, America, Canada, and then like mad places, you know what I mean? Saudi, Dubai.
Yeah. Why not?
Why not, yeah?
So, and obviously you got TO UK, but do you have any individual goals yourself? Like, I've done a session with a guy called Alan Russell, who was the superior striker, who was doing one-on-one sessions with footballers, and then ended up getting the England striker coach job. Do you have any goals like that?
Not like that, no. I think for me personally is I want to be the hub of confidence and mindset for people from around the world. So sort of like I mentioned with the vision earlier, you know, in terms of the team vision, you know, obviously I will be the person leading that, the forefront of that, the voice and the face behind all that. So my personal goal really is to get Tom Owens UK and everything that we're doing and everything it stands for, and then spread it around the world, really. I mentioned earlier about public speaking. Like, I'd like to do that, whether it be, you know, helping thousands of people at the same time, whether that be, you know, nowadays technology, you can do Zoom sessions, which have got thousands of people on, whether it be speaking in stadiums to thousands of people, just because that scares me, that, like, standing in front of, like, I mean, doing this podcast scared me today, so a little bit nervous on the way in, yeah.
I still got nervous, like, to be honest.
He doesn't, he's got that.
No,
He's got that order, hasn't he?
No, I was just
He's
sitting there
not
when he said did it sounded it was like a surprise tone, so I was thinking, hold up a minute, you get nervous too, but
No, because it's a surprise, isn't it? Because obviously I know you anyway, but like, even for people that don't know you, but they'll see the videos of you come across like you're so confident, but is that just because you're confident in what you do?
Yeah, like, I don't do this every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is new territory for me, but I want to do stuff like this, you know, like, I'm hoping that this would be valuable for some people to listen to. I feel like I've got some decent ideas that I could share and help from my experience. So literally anything and everything that could possibly get a message out there for people, which might save them in whatever capacity, I want to do it, whether that be podcast, footy coaching, Zoom sessions, public speaking in stadiums, just whatever. But that public speaking in stadiums, I don't know why, but I always go to that one because that scares the shit out of me.
You want to be the next Grandad?
Yeah, 20x though, not 10.
listen, great way to end the podcast. Thank you very much for coming down. I think you've shared some valuable things. As you say, that's what your mission is. So we can only say thank you and see you soon.
Nice one, Tom.
Appreciate it. Thanks, boys.
Cheers, Paul.